Hi, I'm Peter. I'm a third year RVC Vet Med student, and somehow after all of my failures at GCSEs, college, everything, I still managed to get here. So the sort of overview of this video is that I'm going to talk to you about my journey and specifically the Gateway program and what that all encompasses. I'm also going to describe to you different routes if you can't do the Gateway or it's not your sort of style, and then some sort of advice and conclusion-y sort of. So let's start with my journey. I never wanted to be a doctor. I never had any interest of doing veterinary. It only came to me in the last couple of months before my GCSE exams, which if you're not from the UK, that's kind of like around 15, 16 years old. So I wanted to be an actor before, so I had no interest in really getting high grades. I didn't really like school anyway. I hated revising. I hated all of it. So I would much prefer to play games with the boys and chillax. And while that was great, it really wasn't great for vet med. It really wasn't good. But yeah, so a couple of months before the exams, I changed my mind. I decided I wanted to be a vet student, and I had to quickly scramble to revise, and well, I did all right. I passed. I'm not like a failure, but in regards to vet med, I am a failure. I don't meet traditional requirements like at all. So I had to explore different routes. And for me, I sort of branched into the Gateway because I contacted and spoke with an advisor at the school. So yeah, I luckily worked out quite early on another route that I was going to go. I needed to resit some of my GCSEs because they were like maths and biology I wanted to do. And then I did an AS and A2, which is just basically year 1 and year 2 of an A level called Applied Science, which is biology, chemistry, physics. So I just tried to buff up my sort of backpack of, knowledge. Well, as I said about every hurdle, I then sort of failed at this hurdle as well, because while I was still trying to be hardworking and I was trying to be a vet, I obviously wasn't fully on that sort of revision, motivation-y train yet like I am nowadays. I still bleak struggle, but yeah, I didn't do great either. I didn't get the GCSE maths grade that I needed. I needed a 6 to go on to the A-level chemistry and the A-level like biology and whatnot, and I got a 5, so I couldn't do it. Which then meant I couldn't do traditional A-level route, the Gateway, which then put me in this sort of difficulty, oh God, what do I do? Because I already was going an obscure route with Gateway, and then to not go an A-level route, it was like, So college round 2. I then had to explore other options because I still wanted to be a vet, and I had to go via a BTEC. So I did a level 3 extended diploma in animal management, and then I added on some chemistry units from some other BTECs that were running in the same sort of building. They were the ones that were required on the Gateway website that I'm going to show later in the video. And then that's kind of when I sort of put my ass in gear and I did a bit more grinding. Luckily, I actually really enjoyed the BTEC style of work. It was a lot of coursework. It was a lot of research, understanding, I learned about things that I now have learned on vet med. So it was quite interesting to do it. And I really liked it. I think that was the kind of the style that worked for me at that period in my life, because I really struggled with academic. I still do, but I mega struggled. So it was really quite nice for me. Okay, so past me is going to show you the Gateway program on the website. Hello and welcome. I'm going to just be going over the veterinary Gateway sort of aspect. I'm not going to read everything, but essentially this course is intended for people that come from disadvantaged, lower income, sort of the ones that you wouldn't expect that would be a vet student. And so because of that, you have to tick certain sort of margins and happy little boxes. So we'll just go through that for you now. So just to emphasize, it's a 6-year course. So you do an extra year. This is what that year consists of, these different units. And they sort of give you a good kind of overview. They build upon the sort of building steps of what next year is going to be like, the first year of vet med. And it's really quite a blessing, because if you hadn't have had that, you would then find year 1 really overwhelming. Gateway also gives you enough time to sort of process and do AHAMs, where if you didn't have Gateway, you'd have 1 year less to do the 12 weeks that you need to do by year 2. So to get into the Gateway program, you need to be a UK student. It's not available for international, so it's aimed for UK students that are from disadvantaged backgrounds. You either predicted to achieve no more than 2 grades below the standard Gateway entry offer, which was CCC in A levels, and you need to have 2 of them being biology and chemistry. So you can have any of your choice, i.e. any that sort of fit the STEM theme. You can also go via BTEC, which is what I did. And depending on what BTEC your college offers will depend on where you slot in, and depends on when you sat your BTEC, because they changed the curriculums for a lot of BTECs. As you can see, 2010 syllabus here whereas these ones above are, I assume, the new syllabus. So I was this one here. Yeah, this one was me because I had to take my chemistry. And then with regards to GCSEs, you need to have sort of what I got at GCSEs, C's and 4s, just passes, but nothing. It says optional extra. I would highly recommend, unless you've got many other sort of boxes that you're ticking, I would highly recommend getting some work experience because 99% of the competition is. So by not getting it, you're sort of handicapping yourself, which isn't ideal, especially when you're already applying for the Gateway program, which in itself you were handicapped from birth. So you don't really want to be. So the sort of scores and sort of requirements you need to meet, aside from the sort of basic ones, you need to get a minimum of 15 points. Ideally, the more the merrier. If you tick more, it says to the RVC that you come from a more disadvantaged background and you are much more less likely to get on the traditional route, thus gives you a better chance going forward. A Polar 4 score is essentially where you live. If your postcode and your local area is poor, you'll be offered a score. You can check on the website there. Same with this quintile score. And a lot of them are basically in reference to your school and a lot of your academic teaching. You got your secondary and your primary school, as well as your house income. If you're a refugee or if you're Enstrangled, what's the word? And also, if your family members have gone to university, if you're the only one that's gone, or you're the only one that's going to be going. And this is just the RVC. We've got several other universities that offer. I don't know as much about the other universities, but my assumption is it's very similar in regards of structure. They're going to teach you, basics of anatomy. It's very much fundamental building blocks so that the first year is sort of eased in, so you don't feel as overwhelmed. I mean, you're gonna feel it no matter what. Their grade requirements relatively the same, it seems, to be honest. BBC and DDM, you've got, so RVC have a lower grade requirement, which is good it was good for me because I didn't have great grades. And same sort of GCSE profile as well. So same sort of requirements. You should be able to apply for all of them. I'm just gonna check the final one for you. Okay, I don't know if it's just me. I mean, obviously have a look yourselves. I'm struggling to find it. I went from the main page on Nottingham. I then kind of got lost for 10 minutes and then clicked here and fumbled about and panicked. And then I went entry requirements. I don't know if this is specifically to the Gateway course or if this is in general, but I would assume, for example, BTECs, they need to be, they're telling you the ratio of what the grade conversion is, which is quite interesting. But that's the Gateway, and it's definitely a good option for people that didn't have a good start in life. So look into it if you're able to. And now you're back. Crazy. Power of editing. So let's say Gateway isn't going to work for you and you can't do that for whatever reason, either grades or you got too high because you can't, your grades have to be in a certain sort of bracket. If you get too high, you can't apply for the Gateway. If you don't apply in the Polar score and all of those sort of requirements, blah, let's say you can't do it. What are you going to do? Well, there's some other options. It's not the end of the world. And if you obviously got the passion to be a vet, then 100% you can do it. So there's some other options that you can explore. And the first one being the Harper and Kill it's similar to a Gateway program, sort of like a foundation a year degree. It's less Gateway, as in it's less tailored for people with disadvantaged backgrounds. And it's more just if you didn't go a traditional route, i.e. you didn't do A-levels, it's more for you. Another option would be, depending on if you have a degree or not, you could go the 4-year graduate accelerate program. If you don't have a degree, and let's say you applied for vet med and you failed to get in for whatever reason, and they offered you the biovet, which is another course they offer at the RVC. This is in my situation, they offered me biovet, and this degree, while it's not being a vet, and you won't be a vet when you graduate, it does allow you to apply for vet med courses around England, and depending on where you want to go in life, that definitely could work. A few things to point out: if you do this route, you will have to, if you're UK based, you will have to fund the second degree, i.e. the vet med, because the government would have paid and funded the first degree, which was the bioscience. So a lot of people struggle with this kind of route because the financial issues, money is hard. Well, money's paper, but... And another point to add, while this isn't like a negative, I've spoken to people who have taken the bioscience because they're all on the same sort of campus as us, and you mingle with them for some practicals and whatnot. Especially if you do Gateway, you'll definitely mingle with bioscience. A lot of people who do bioscience, after the 2 years, the 3 years, they actually don't want to be a vet. So you might do this wanting to be a vet, and then after the 3 years, you might be like, oh my God, I'm glad I didn't do vet med. Because yeah, a lot of people see the stress of vet med, or they see that actually there's other options in life that they might want to do, because you find with the bioscience you get a lot of lab and research experience, and then some people get jobs into that and decide, vet med's not for me. So that might be something for you. You might do this hoping to be a vet and completely change your career path. So just something to note. And with regards to that 4-year accelerate program, if you already have a degree, let's say you did parasitology, or you did zoology, or you did something STEMmy, it needs to kind of be sciencey, you can apply for the 4-year program. And the 4-year program is essentially the 5-year program, except they condense year 1 and 2 into 1 year. It's like a big, your stuff, and then it's mainly meant for people who want to be a vet, but already have a bit of science knowledge. So they don't want the slog of 5-year or 6-year. It's a condensed. If you don't have traditional grades, or if you don't have grades or anything really, you can look at doing an access to higher education sort of diploma. I don't know too much about it, but it allows you to apply for the 5-year program as well as the Gateway 6-year program, depending on obviously your grades. And for example, Gateway, your sort of polar scores and all of that blather. But the HE diploma is really good for people that are mature and older, that don't have traditional grades and requirements nowadays, but they have a passion and wanting to be a vet later on in life. They can do this HE, and then they can apply. Another route would be going via vet nursing. There's different routes that you can do this. The bog standard route would be that if you have a vet nursing degree, ideally it needs to be grade 2, 1 and above. You can apply for the 4-year program as well as the 5-year program, obviously depending on your grades, as in your university grade for vet nursing. Also have to factor in your GCSE grades and work experience. If you are a vet nurse, I would definitely sort of recommend to buff up your sort of portfolio, doing some work in practice before. If university isn't your sort of thing, you potentially could go the apprenticeship sort of route. I don't know the efficacy of actually getting into vet med via this route, but in theory you can do it. You can do an apprenticeship, which is a non-university based sort of teaching. You probably are in practice working as a vet nurse, doing training and blah, blah, blah. You can then apply for vet med from that. Again, fully depends on your grades and work experience and blah, blah, blah. I would recommend a good personal statement for any of these as well, because you want to sell yourself. You probably could apply for the Gateway as well if you did the apprenticeship, assuming you did the apprenticeship because you had poor grades, or you did apprenticeship because of history and all those sort of polar score. You definitely could apply. Overall, my kind of advice for you going forward would be that firstly, it's okay to fail. I mean, I'm here somehow, and I did a lot of failing. I mean, a lot of teachers said to me, have you considered any other career paths? Are you sure veterinary's for you? It's very chemistry heavy, and obviously my grades were. So they were like, are you sure you want to do it? And it was like, no, I don't want to do it. So yeah, 100% determination, passion, and not stopping at every hurdle. I mean, it's not easy, and it's not easy once you get into vet med. The journey's only just begun then, it only gets worse. So, and yeah, just kind of be open to non-traditional routes. I felt quite dumb coming to vet med via Gateway. I felt like, I'm going to be so inferior to all these very smart, amazing people. But in the end of the day, we all are on very different journeys. We're all experiencing our own paths. We can't compare, yeah, sure, I am dumb compared to X, Y, and Z, but they probably had such great opportunities in life, or they were taught at a young age, or bloody, bloody, blah. We're all different. We can't compare. You do you. You want to be a vet? Do it. I mean, I've seen people on our course that are 40 years old, 50 years old, starting the vet med. They've had a sudden life change in life, and they thought, let's do 5 years and be a vet. You can do it. I believe in you. So yeah, that's the video. If you got any kind of questions, any sort of queries, anything you want to know, hit me up down in the comments. Please subscribe if it was useful at all for you, and it's not just me rambling to myself. I'm trying to go for 1 million. Who isn't? I want to be the first doctor to play the doctor. I say this every video, and I'm going to try and say it to the day I die. Well, no, ideally I don't want to say it to the day I die. I want to be the doctor. So yeah, peace.